Hello, my name is Jerry Smith. I am the sales engineer for VIPRE here at ThreatTrack Security. We wanted to go over a couple things for you today, including but not limited to who ThreatTrack Security is and what is VIPRE Business Premium. Also wanted to discuss our newest release of version 7.0 and its current features and functionalities. Our story, the ThreatTrack Security, began about 20 years ago, established here in sunny Clearwater, Florida in 1994 as a company called Sunbelt Software. And we evolved our business model to create security solutions for the growing Windows user base. Successful products included IHateSpam and CounterSpy. We also licensed CW Sandbox, which later became the basis for Threat Analyzer. Threat Analyzer is our dynamic malware analysis sandbox used in 70% of the U.S. cybersecurity infrastructure. Anti-spyware and anti-malware expertise culminated in the launch of VIPRE Antivirus in 2008. We are currently defending more than 4 million endpoints globally, and that's both in our consumer and our business products. We were acquired by GFI Software in 2010, where we continued development and further growth of our security solutions portfolio. We introduced improvements to VIPRE, including VIPRE Mobile, some patch management and mobile device management features, etc. We also developed and productized threat intelligence through ThreatIQ, another one of our products. However, GFI Software is focused on exclusively on the small to medium-sized business market, and since VIPRE is ultimately scalable into large enterprise, we went ahead and reestablished ourselves as an independent company called ThreatTrack Security in March of 2013 to be able to focus exclusively on developing high-end anti-malware solutions for businesses of all sizes, focusing on the enterprise and capitalizing on the need and demand for advanced threat protection. We do have offices all around the world, again headquartered right here in sunny Clearwater, Florida. We do have offices in Washington, D.C., New York, Spain, Australia, and the Philippines, and we do work with several hundred partners, including some in Europe and in Asia as well. So the big question today is, what is VIPRE Business Premium? We're going to go ahead and discuss what the product is and how it works, and we'll also take a peek into the product as well. So VIPRE Business and VIPRE Business Premium, two versions of the same product, provide centrally managed small footprint antivirus protection for PCs, Macs, and Android devices. We're also able to provide some mobile device management from the same console, both for Android devices and for the iPhone, iPad market. And again, the same console. We do also provide in our premium version some additional features, and those include patch management, malicious website blocking, and a bidirectional desktop firewall with some advanced features. I'll go into those in a little bit. Our product is engineered from the ground up for high performance, using one single powerful engine for the detection and removal of all types of malware, and that does include viruses, spyware, Trojans, rootkits, etc. We do use multiple types of detection for optimal protection, and we are certified by VB100, West Coast Labs, and several other entities within that realm. We do have, again, as I mentioned, a small footprint agent first to provide one of those, actually, with all the features that you need out of an antivirus product and none of the bloat and flowery, fluffy features that you don't really need in an antivirus product. Our internal motto has always been, and still is to this day, let's kill all the bad stuff without killing the PC in the process. We do use multiple types of detection, again, including traditional file signatures, or threat definitions, if you will. We also utilize heuristics and what we call our MX virtualization, or MXV, with which we're able to provide what amounts to a miniature sandbox that we can actually test a file or application in, allowing the file to run its API calls and commands, thinking that it's in an actual Windows environment. If it is malicious, we can then, of course, quarantine the file or application, and if it is not malicious, we can just let it do its thing, if you will. We do provide, as I mentioned previously, a little bit of mobile device management from the same console for Android smartphones and tablets, We're able to deploy an antivirus agent and provide antivirus scanning. We're able to provide passcode parameters to the device as well as wireless network configuration parameters. In the event of loss of the device, we are actually able to do a remote locate via Google Maps. We're also able to provide the ability to sound an alarm on the device or provide a factory reset on the device. For iPhones and iPads, we're able to do passcode parameters, again, just like the Android devices, provide also wireless network configuration parameters, and we're able to do a remote lock and factory reset of these devices as well. We are the first in the industry to integrate into hypervisor, so we're able to provide an agent that will install on the host system in a Hyper-V environment that will scan all the guest VMs on the host. This provides security for the virtual servers without having to deploy an agent to each one of the individual VMs. This is something you could actually do. However, with our ability to scan from one single agent, this actually does provide faster scan times and brings resource back to the virtual machines themselves, right? It is licensed separately, managed from the same console, but you would need to see your sales representative for further information on pricing as far as how is that licensed. Here we have a feature comparison matrix, so the differences between our business premium product and the standard antivirus business product. You can see we do provide in both the antivirus, anti-spyware, anti-malware scanning and remediation, on-access file scanning, mobile device management. We even have a Mac agent that we can provide. We do have an email security component, and that is for the email clients like Outlook, etc. We are able to provide in the premium version patch management, anti-phishing, a bidirectional desktop firewall, and malicious website blocker. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, however, over 70% of malware outbreaks in the corporate network environment are a direct result of computers in that environment not having the latest updates and security patches applied. We can actually give you a mechanism to help you out with that. We do provide patch management for non-Microsoft third-party applications, and that does include things like Adobe, Java, Flash, all of 5 major browsers, and numerous other third-party applications. And these are applications that we know that will pop up on the desktop with a need for an update, et cetera, that the end user may or may not end up clicking on for a multitude of different reasons. So it's actually crucial for network administrators to take the reins in the updating and patching of these types of products in their environment. So again, we provide a mechanism for doing that. In addition to that, more premium features include, again, malicious website blocking. Now, we're not a web filter. We don't provide content filtering, but we are able to ensure safe browsing by being able to block the URLs and IP addresses of websites that we know of out there on the Internet that are serving up malicious data. So this actually negates the need for whitelisting and blacklisting of websites and IP addresses and URLs on perimeter devices. We are also able to provide anti-phishing within our email security component, and both of these, the malicious website blocking and anti-phishing, are provided to us through our Threat IQ data feeds. If you're familiar with Serval lists, this is the same thing, only quite a bit more extensive actually. We do provide, again, a bidirectional desktop firewall that does have some advanced features, including but not limited to a little bit of host intrusion prevention and some IDS snort rules as well. Some of the things that we leverage here include some folks that are employed by us, including industry-leading researchers and senior experts in malware analysis, and that does actually include numerous Microsoft MVPs as well. And the reason I mention this is because of the fact that you actually have direct access to these people through your maintenance agreement. Our support system, our support team is located right here in sunny Clearwater, Florida. So technical support is provided by English-speaking, U.S.-based team right here, again, in sunny Clearwater, Florida. And they have the ability to speak also with our lead development teams, which are also located here in Clearwater, Florida. So if VIPRE is doing something or not doing something that they're not quite understanding, they can always walk down the hall and talk to the developers on the product as well, and get great communication between these two teams, et cetera. Our threat analyzer tool, something else we leverage here. This is our threat analysis tool. We actually have numerous sandboxes here in Clearwater, Florida, and others in other different locations that we are using for threat analysis on a daily basis. And we are analyzing the bulk of the 250,000 pieces of code that are analyzed by the AV community on a daily basis. We do also have cooperative arrangements with other major security companies, including VirusTotal. We actually share data with other different security companies, as do most others. However, we share more information with the AV community than any entity other than VirusTotal itself. Okay. So I wanted to go into some of the new features in our newest version, released on September 23rd. VIPRE 7.0 is now out and available for you. Some of the key features in the newest version include, but are not limited to, VIPRE roaming service, which gives us the ability to install and manage agents that are not on the local area network or the same local area network as the VIPRE Management Console server. And this is provided with the ability also to manage these devices without having to do any additional firewall configurations, et cetera. And I'll go into that a little bit more in depth in a minute. We do have some improvements on the unprotected computer discovery for sites with multiple servers. We also have automatic policy assignment, which actually provides a way for us to specify that specific policies are automatically applied to machines if they are automatically deployed. We also have a new custom scan capability, as well as the VIPRE RapidScan and password protection for agent uninstallation, as well as a new agent installation wizard. And these are things I'll show you in the console shortly. So a little bit more in depth on the VIPRE roaming service itself. There was a challenge, or several challenges we wanted to be able to overcome. And those would be things like the ability to manage computers that are off-site. It's difficult to manage these devices if they don't have a direct connection to the VIPRE server. So in conditions where you have, or scenarios where you have remote offices or road warriors with laptops, control and management over those agents can be rather difficult. If the ability exists for you to be able to configure firewalls and whatnot in order to provide that connection and management capability, in some cases, you may not have somebody in-house that has the expertise to configure the firewall. You might not have access to the firewall, et cetera. So, in addition, some small remote offices may not have a server in order to be able to set up or install a secondary VIPRE server for management of those local devices. And managed service providers may not want to put their product key into multiple VIPRE installations in each of their clients' offices. So as you can see, a number of different types of challenges with regard to agent management. So our solution was to come up with a way to provide a communication link between the VIPRE server and the VIPRE agent. And what we're calling that is the VIPRE roaming service. And this is located in our servers within our cloud. So cloud-based servers maintain the communication link, again, between the remote agent and your VIPRE site server. So roaming agents are now able to report scan results to the server, and servers can send updates and policies and whatnot to the agents. Now, all of this communication is secure over secure HTTP. So, as I mentioned previously, no firewall changes are required. So no need now to pin your firewall in order to get the VIPRE server to be able to communicate with the VIPRE agents. This benefits a number of different types of customers, and that includes, folks with small offices that might have multiple locations, larger enterprises that have road warrior laptop users or telecommuters, et cetera, managed service providers that don't necessarily want to install servers at different client locations, etc. So I want to go into a little bit into how that works as well. So you have a couple of options here. The first option is that if any agent was installed normally, that agent is now able to roam if the configuration is set up for doing so within the policy for the agent, right? And that provides us, again, with a way to be able to allow an agent to be installed and then roam off network and continue to be managed. The second option is for us to be able to create a roaming installation package. That way we can actually install an agent that is off network, and actually security can be configured on that roaming installation package to keep it from being overused, right? If an agent is unable to connect with a site server after being installed, if it's out roaming, it will attempt to contact the roaming service. So agents check in with the roaming service every hour, and the site server checks in with the roaming service every 5 minutes to see if there are any messages from the agent or any heartbeats. If the server has messages queued up for the agents, those messages are actually queued up inside of the VIPRE roaming service and sent down to the agent when a heartbeat's in. If the server notices that the agent has come back on network, it will take those messages back down from the VIPRE roaming service and distribute them itself locally. So I've got a couple of visual slides to help you see that as well. As you can see, we've got a slide here that indicates that agents are deployed within a single local area network, and they're communicating with the VIPRE site server. And again, you can any agents that are currently normally installed would have the ability to roam if the configuration is set up to do so, right? So as you can see, my agent was installed. Now he's left the network and is connecting to the VIPRE site server through the VIPRE roaming service, right? What if we have an agent that is not going to be on the network? Well, what we can do is generate a roaming installer package and install in that remote network. So now, with that remote installation package, an agent can be installed. The communication link is then provided by the VIPRE roaming service, and the VIPRE site server notices that the agent now exists and can provide information like policy updates, etc., down to that agent. Couple screenshots of the configuration here, and this is in the site configuration itself, where we can go ahead and allow roaming agents to communicate, right? In addition, we also have a piece here where we can see in the site configuration the different roaming installation packages that we've created and what we can do with those if we want to deactivate them or extend their shelf life, etc., right? I'd like to go into the console now. If you give me just a minute, I'll share out my desktop and we can take a look at the console itself. So this is the VIPRE Management Console, and as you can see here, I've pulled up the dashboard of the console, and that can be easily done from any place that you're at within the console by simply clicking on the dashboard button here. The dashboard shows you the latest and greatest information regarding VIPRE, the most up-to-date information about the security of your network, right? Are agents dialing in or calling in to the server? Are they doing their hellos, sending their hello packets? Are they scanning? And if so, what kinds of things are they finding? Now, these nifty little widgets are movable within the console here. As you can see, I can take this and move it around anywhere I want, and I can change their location inside of the dashboard. I can also add additional widgets as well. As you can see, we've got a ton of different widgets here that will show you, again, up-to-date information regarding the status of your network and the agents on the network. In addition, we are also able to see those agents that are deployed, as well as agents that don't exist, the computers that don't have an AV product on them. And we can actually install agents from here, right from the dashboard, simply by clicking on the Install Now button if we wanted to. We also do have an agent installation wizard, and this is a new piece for us here. This nifty little wizard helps us decide what kind of installation we want to do and for what kind of device, right? So if we wanted to deploy, for instance, to a Windows device, we can select that. We can select the type of policy or which policy we want to use for the installation, right? We also do remove the incumbent software as well. So if you have a product that's already deployed out there, VIPRE can actually uninstall the previous product while installing itself. Okay. Now, if you are taking a look at that list and don't see your product listed on there, you can always contact our support organization, and they will get your product or your version of the product added into it. Okay. We can also choose what type of installation package we would like to create. Do we want to create an MST or MSI rather? Do we want to do a push installation right here from the console, or do we want to create a roaming installation package? I'm going to show you a couple of those in just a minute here. And then we get details on where that package will be located. Now, if I wanted to just create packages here for use later, I can create an MSI, MST, or EXE rather. We can also create that roaming installation package, and I'd like to show you that real quick. We can decide, of course, what type of policy we want to use for that, what version of the agent we want to use on that, and we can give it a shelf life. We can tell it it'll expire after 10 days and can only be used on 10 computers, right? Also, in the site properties, we would be able to extend or pull back the expiration date on that, so I can make it expire after only 2 days and work on only 6 machines, or I can up or downgrade those numbers if we like at any time. I'm going to let this finish here real quick. I do want to show you that we can actually interact with other computers that we also do manage in the console simply by right-clicking on those machines in the agent catalog. So if we right-click, we can see that we can do things like send the agent some commands, like tell the agent to do a hello call. We can actually ping the agent from the server here, right? We can also have it do things like start a scan, or abort or pause a scan. We can also have it do some patch management activities, and we can do all kinds of other different things here with the agent as well. Again, right here from the agent catalog. And I've had the agent do a couple of things here. If the agent is scanning, for instance, you'd be able to see the scanning occur here. We can see what definitions, what version of the defs they're on right here, and whether or not the agent is communicating. We can also add some additional columns, and we do have a column chooser here for some different informational columns that we can add into the catalog if there are other different pieces of information we'd like to see from this viewpoint. We'd be able to see our quarantine from here, any information on patch management. Now, this is going to be very, very simplistic. You're going to be able to see, I don't have very many machines in this console, but as you can see, I have a machine that hasn't yet been scanned. I have one that's been fully patched and one that isn't fully patched. So just little pie charts here giving you real basic details about that stuff. And we can also see pending installations and agent installation history here as well. So some other things that we can do here from the console would be to take a look at the site properties. In other words, the configuration for the server itself. And we can do that by clicking this button here. I've already got that open. So I'll show you that we can see, our registration information, how many agents are being used locally and globally. We can actually do some other things here as well. For instance, we can provide agent installation credentials here. We can manage the remote agent installation packages. As you can see here, we can extend the life on those things or pull them back. We can actually disable or deactivate those packages as well. Automatic policy assignment is configured here as well, so we can say if it's a workstation, it automatically gets the workstation policy. We can provide other policies for that configuration as well, and the same applies for laptops and servers. And we're able to tell what type of device it is that we're deploying to through WMI, right? And we can actually see here what types of software or what versions of the software and threat definitions we have available downloaded into the server here for distribution down to the agents. We can have the server check for updates periodically or at specific times of day if we like, and we can do this multiple times a day. And we can do those things automatically or manually rather, simply by clicking these buttons here. We do have a little bit of console administration configuration that we can provide here. As you can see for this user here, Dread Pirate Roberts, I've allowed him read-only access in the site configuration, and I've done some custom configuration on the policies So he can actually see the policy for servers, but not manage that policy, and he can actually do some changes in the policy for laptops if he would like to. Okay, so that's the site configuration stuff. One more piece in here, we can actually see where our database is located and do some database management here. We can actually go to full-blown SQL if we need to as well. And again, that's the site properties configuration. Within the policies, we can actually see some other things here. Let me pull up the policy. There we go. So we can dictate how the agent runs on the computer and what type of interaction the end user can see. So we can say that the end user will get a taskbar icon, right? And we can allow them to run manual scans. We can allow them to abort or pause or resume scans. We can actually allow them, if we wanted to even manage their quarantine. Now, we don't recommend that, of course. However, if you'd like to allow that for certain users or groups of users, it certainly can do that. We also can protect the agent from an uninstallation in one of two different ways. We can either keep it hidden from the installed programs list, and this only applies if you're, fix this configuration prior to deployment of the agent. Or we can provide a password that protects that agent. Now, again, this password is policy specific. So in any different policy here that you might have for your environment, you could have a different password for those agents, right? So different things that we can actually configure here would be things like, how often do we update and what do we do about updates on the agent itself? We actually provide threat definition updates anywhere between 10 and 18 times a day. I've seen as many as 24 in a given day as well. So most of those updates are incremental updates. So the more often you do the incremental updates, the smaller those updates are. So I like to configure mine for every hour. By default is by every 3 hours. We can also dictate that the agent downloads updates via the internet if for some reason the VIPRE server is not available. Right? We can dictate how often and to whom the agent communicates. As you can see here, the configuration for the server is done automatically when you install VIPRE, and by default, the IP address of the server is plugged in here. But as you can see, I've plugged in a domain or a DNS name for this computer. You could also plug in a fully qualified domain name or internet routable IP address if you'd like to. And this is where you would actually need to poke holes in your firewall for that type of communication if you chose not to use the VIPRE roaming service. The agent actually does heartbeat to the server every 5 minutes by default, right, letting it know what its status is. It just gives it a real quick hello packet. If when the server receives that hello packet, the server has any work queued up for that agent at that point, that's when it would be able to send that information down. Right? And roaming agents, this is where we can configure whether or not the agents are allowed to roam in this policy. So any agents within this policy that I've actually deployed with this policy are currently allowed to roam if necessary. And we can do automatic approval for those roaming installation packages as well. I just want to show you a couple other things here real quickly in the console. For instance, scanning options. We can actually scan USB drives and whatnot upon insertion. Okay. We can also do a deep scan or a quick scan at any time of day that we choose. A deep scan will scan all local drives, whereas a quick scan will scan only the most common threat locations. In our custom scan, we're able to configure as many custom scans as we'd like with only one caveat, and that's that multiple scans cannot occur at the same time of day. Right? We can utilize the VIPRE RapidScan technology here if we'd like. We can actually use that in other scans as well, but we don't recommend checking that box in these two as that is more of a permanent configuration. This can be unchecked, but what if you forget to go uncheck this is the point. So the VIPRE RapidScan is able to provide the ability for VIPRE to scan a machine and only scan the things that have changed since the last full scan. So let's say you run a deep scan in the mornings or late at night. If the user comes in during the day and downloads a couple of files or makes a couple of changes on files or downloads a couple of documents or whatnot, Well, then those are things that have changed on that machine, and that's what the VIPRE RapidScan would scan. Okay. Our active protection is our live or on-access scanning. So we're able to provide a couple of different measures here. Any file that's touched by the end user would be scanned with this particular configuration here. The opposite end of the spectrum is to scan only executables. We actually do recommend in the middle scanning specific different types of file extensions, and we can actually add additional file extensions here if we like. Our email protection component provides the ability to scan emails if the end user is using an email client like Outlook and etc. And we are able to provide anti-phishing in here as well. Now, again, this is a premium version functionality, and you will not see this checkbox in the non-premium version of the console. Okay. What do we do if we find malware? Everything by default is set to quarantine except for cookies and the remote commercial remote control tools. Now, I've gone ahead and set mine to quarantine here because I've added a few of the remote control tools that I might use in my allowed threats list. And as you can see, this is a list that is already built for you and categorized. So if there's a product that you use that you'd like to be able to allow that we consider to be a threat usually, that's where you would plug that in. Our web filtering, again, we're able to block specific websites if you like. We can provide that bad URL blocking where we do block known bad URLs and IP addresses. We can plug in specific websites if you like. As you can see here, I've gone ahead and blocked Facebook and Twitter just for fun. If there's websites that we feel are bad already and you'd like to allow access to those, you can plug those in here. As you can see, our firewall configuration does have some fairly advanced configuration capabilities. We can do some application exceptions, some network protocol exceptions here, some different advanced exceptions. As you can see, I've blocked or actually set allow with notify for secure HTTP, both inbound and outbound. Right? For patch management, we're able to do patching, as I mentioned earlier, on a number of different products. We don't actually scan by default for your Java because we don't want to break anything that you might be doing internally, but you can scan for those anytime you like and install patches at any point as well. You can actually schedule those activities to occur. A couple of different things on agent installation I'd like to go over here real quickly, and that includes, configuration for being able to do automatic installation. We can actually search for agents via AD queries and IP ranges, etc. And again, uninstall the previous version or previous product for you. So that concludes our real quick look at the VIPRE console. There are some other features and functionalities I did not have time to go through today. However, these things are things that we can definitely go over with in a more in-depth one-on-one product demonstration at any time. Thank you so much for attending. Feel free to contact us anytime you like. The contact information is located on your screen here at this point. And again, my name is Jerry Smith with ThreatTrack Security. Thank you so much.